Hi Year 4, happy Wednesday. This is your literacy lesson for today. So the first thing we need to do is our SPAG recap. So this week we've been looking at conjunctions and commas and learning about how to use those. So I just want you to have a think about what are they and what we have learned about them. So, a comma is a punctuation mark that is used before a conjunction to join two clauses together. So, the conjunctions we've learnt about so far are coordinating conjunctions and subordinating conjunctions. So, in this sentence, it says, the giraffe ate the leaves off the tree, and I've got my comma before my conjunction, while the visitors watched. So while is my conjunction and it's got its comma before it. So we need to know about contrasting conjunctions for our debate because these types of conjunctions are used to compare one thing to another where they are different or opposite. So they are things like yet, but, alternatively, on the other hand, although, whereas, while, and however. So we can use those in the middle of a sentence to join two different ideas. With these conjunctions, you still need to use a comma before the conjunction. So for example, many people believe that zoos are a cruel place to keep animals, but others think that the animals are looked after well in them. So, have I used my comma correctly in this sentence? Is it before the conjunction? You can pause the video to have a think, because my comma needs to go before the conjunction. Is it in the right place? The comma is in the right place because my conjunction is but, because but is on this list here. So but is my conjunction and the comma has to come before it, so it goes after animals. Where do you think the comma needs to go in this sentence? I think that zoos take care of their animals, however others believe that animals are trapped in zoos. Where does my comma need to go in this sentence? The comma needs to go after animals because however is my conjunction. So your chilli challenge this morning is to write a sentence using this conjunction, but don't forget your comma. So mild, you need to write a sentence with the word but in as your conjunction. For spicy, you need to write a sentence with the conjunction however, and for hot, you need to write a sentence with the conjunction whereas. So you can pause the video and have a go at doing your chilli challenge. So you know that this week we are looking at if zoos are good places for animals or if they are not. So we're going to be having a bit of a debate. So we're going to research both sides of the argument. We've looked at are zoos good, and so we need to learn about if zoos are bad. So our learning objective today is to research. We'll be researching against zoos. So the reasons that they are bad, the reasons that people don't like zoos. So just pause the video to have a think. Why do you think zoos might be a bad place for animals? You can write some notes down or you can talk to your grown-up. Why do you think they are a bad place for animals? So, who do you think might be against zoos? We've looked at who is for zoos, who think they're a good place, and people like the visitors and the zoologists, the people who look after the animals and families, and lots of people think zoos are a good place. So who do you think might be against zoos, who might not like them as much? You can pause the video to have a think and make notes. So people like animal cruelty organisations. There's an example of PETA. They make sure that animals are looked after correctly and are treated fairly. So they might be against zoos because they might think that zoos aren't a good place for animals. Another group of people who might be against zoos are animal rights activists. So these are people who think that animals have the same rights as us and they deserve to be treated equally. So they campaign and they protest to make sure that animals are looked after really well and fairly. So they might not like zoos as much as other people as well. They might be against zoos. And we also have environmentalists. So these people believe that animals should be kept in the wild because they really care about the environment and making sure that our natural environment stays like it. So we need animals in those environments so that we can do that. You have a task now, so you have got another text like you did the other day. So I want you to read the text and highlight the arguments against zoos so that they should be closed, they are bad places. This text is in your pack, so you can pause the video to have a read and then you can go through and highlight the arguments against zoos. What I am going to do then is I'm going to read it, and as I read I'm going to highlight reasons against zoos, so why people don't like zoos. So you can do it with me or you can just check your answers, and whichever way you prefer to do it. So originally zoos' conditions were poor, so I think that's something against zoos, the poor conditions, and animals were treated badly. Yet they have grown more suitable for both humans and animals, so they might be a little bit better, although many people still question if it is right to be doing this to animals. One argument against zoos being kept open is that being trapped in one cage can bore an animal. So they're trapped in a cage and they're bored. Animals do not normally act naturally around people. That does not teach anyone how they behave. So going to the zoo, you don't learn how animals behave because they don't act naturally. Zoos keep animals mainly for public viewing. If you view animals at the zoo, you will see that these animals spend most of their existence trying to escape. So they spend most of their time trying to get out. For the most part, these animals do not want to be kept in captivity. All in all, zoos are prisons for animals. That doesn't sound like it's a good thing, so I think that's something against zoos. Bright camera flashes can shock animals. That might cause them distress. And people love to take pictures of anything they find interesting, including animals. David Attenborough, a famous naturalist, has been quoted to say, "Conservation of animals' natural habitats should be humans' focus, not building more zoos to make us feel better for destroying their homes." So he is saying that we should look after the animals' natural environment rather than taking them out of the environment. So we shouldn't be destroying their homes. Moreover, animals that are caged up, that doesn't sound good, cannot grow well and do not learn how to hunt properly, so they don't learn their natural instincts. They cannot experience how it feels to roam the wild freely, so they don't get the chance to just wander around in their natural habitat. They can only meet other animals in their cage, so cannot socialise, and this can cause stress and increased anxiety levels, and often leads to self-harming behaviour, so they might bite themselves or scratch themselves. Sometimes animals are removed from their natural habitats and separated from their families. That's not a good thing. How would you feel if you were seized from everything you know and placed inside a glass cage for the rest of your life? Oh, that's a good question. How would you feel? Some people say zoos care for ill animals. However, they could get a disease from a human. So that's not a thing against zoos. They might get a disease from a human, and it could make them extremely sick or worse. It could kill them if it's a bad disease. They might have 24-hour care, but the vets might not be able to help them from the disease. It could lead them to getting awfully sick until the sickness wears off, or it could make them so sick that it eventually kills them with a painful death. So they might get really ill from people at the zoo. In conclusion, I personally think zoos should be kept closed. Even though animals and humans are different, they are both living things and we should respect them as we respect other humans. Zoos can cause animals to suffer as they have to remain in cages and do not live in their natural habitat. So we have now read through this and picked out lots of ideas as to why zoos are bad. So you should have this in front of you. Your job now is to make notes on the key arguments against zoos. So you could set it out like this or in a brainstorm. Make sure you have the date and learning objective. So you might write reasons against having zoos and do a bullet point list or do it in a brainstorm, but picking ideas from our text that we have just highlighted. So you should have lots of underlined bits or highlighted bits if you've got a highlighter at home. And so you can make lots of notes on the reasons against having zoos. You can pause the video and make your list or your brainstorm. And if you want to have a look at some more, the next slide I'll show you has got some examples. So have a go first and then come back to the video so that you can get some more ideas. Here we've got some more ideas that you might use. So visitors at the zoo use cameras and their bright flashes could harm the animals. Animals shouldn't live in a locked cage. Many zoos are cruel to their animals and hurt them. To get animals to the zoo, they are taken from their families and their packs. They're taken away from what they know. Animals in a zoo can feel lonely as they don't get to socialise. We should respect animals as they are living things like us. Animals can get ill from the humans who visit. The animals belong in their natural habitat, not a zoo. And zoos keep animals locked in cages. So there's some more ideas. You might want to add any of those to your list or to your brainstorm. Your final task for this lesson is to write a sentence about your opinion of zoos. So ask you what you've learnt today and this week. Do you think zoos are a good place for animals, or do you think they are a bad place for animals? So on Monday you might have said you think they are a good place. You might have changed your opinion today, you might have changed your mind, or you might still think the same, you might still think that they are good places. So you just need to write a sentence on your opinion and why. So why do you think it is a good place, or why do you think it is a bad place? Once you have done that sentence about your opinion, that is the end of your literacy lesson for today. So I hope you have a good afternoon of learning, and I can't wait to see your research when your learning packs come into school on Friday.